Hey everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thanks so much for joining me. I was really excited to play with the new koi stencil from A Colorful Life Designs, but I wasn't sure how I was going to make it look like they were in water. And then I saw a recent Jennifer McGuire video, which is linked below in my description box, that gave me the perfect idea. So let's get started. We are going to be using the Webby mask stencil first from A Colorful Life Designs. Look at how tiny that's engraved. Isn't that amazing that Mary Kay can do that? And I've got Tumbled glass distress ink as well as Mermaid Lagoon distress ink. I've got my gel press plate here. This is my 6x6 plate. And I like to use this when I'm stenciling on cardstock. There are other things that you can use. I know that Waffle Flower has a grip mat and Altenew has a grip mat of some kind. You can use any of those things. I don't own those other products, so I like to use my gel press because it does the job just fine. So I'm going in with Tumbled glass and I'm just applying it all over this background, kind of going a little heavier on the outer edges, but you'll see that a little bit better once we add Mermaid Lagoon. I'm just using my cottontail blending brush from the Rabbit Hole Designs and take a look at that. So now here's where the magic starts. I'm going to flip the stencil 90 degrees. And now I'm going to go in with the tumbled glass again and just go over that entire panel once more. So I'm finishing up that section here and I'm going to flip it again. You don't need to watch me do the whole thing. Look at how that's starting to really look like water. Picture the bottom of a pool, right? Doesn't it look like that? I love this effect. But I needed it to be a little bit more dramatic. So that's where the Mermaid Lagoon comes in. So now I'm rotating that stencil again another 90 degrees. And I'm going to go in with that darker shade of blue and just apply it around those outer edges to kind of draw your eye in towards the center. You can see that effect that's happening there. I love this. I'm going to be using this technique so much. If you don't have this particular stencil, maybe you have something else in your stash that will work. I know that A Colorful Life Designs has a bunch of stencils that have this sort of web-like effect. And I bet you might just have something already in your stash. But if not, you can get plenty of things at A Colorful Life Designs that will help you achieve this look. And this is just a really perfect one. Now you can see that this really looks like water. And I love it. I think it's such a cool effect. I'm just adding a little bit of depth in the center. It was a little too light there, but just kind of haphazardly. I love this. I'm going to bring it closer to the camera so that you can really see it. Look at those layers. Isn't that so pretty? I think it's really cool. Okay, so now we've got our koi stencil. You can see that this is a large 6x9 stencil. We are not going to use the whole piece today, obviously, because I've already got my cardstock cut down to 4 by 5 1/4. So now I'm just trying to decide exactly how I want those koi laid out. You've got plenty of koi to play with and figure out where you want them to be. And I've got mine situated how I want it now. I tell you, using the gel press is super helpful for this. So I've got a Blick Studio acrylic paint in, I think it's cadmium orange. It'll be listed in the description box below. Make sure you click more to expand the description box. This way you can see all of the information that I've got listed there. Squirted a little bit of that out, and we're going to try a couple of different ways to apply the paint. I love finger painting. I really do. I have finger painted bamboo on my bedroom walls. I have finger painted full-on paintings. I just love using my fingers when I paint. I feel like I have so much control. But some of the areas on these koi fish are a little narrow. You can see some of those really skinny lines. I'm really not getting the paint in there. I don't want to press too hard with my finger or with any other tool because I don't want it to seep underneath the stencil. So I wind up kind of giving up with the finger painting, and I use this filbert brush, and I find that this works much better in this case just because, again, those little lines are so fine, and I've got chonky fingers, so it's a little easier for me to use that filbert brush. You can experiment however you want. I know that some people don't like having messy fingers. Not me. I have no problem with it. In fact, I enjoy it. So I'm not going to make you sit through the entire process of me adding this paint, but you can see that I'm just going in sort of a tapping motion. I'm not really brushing it across. I'm tapping it. just because I want to make sure that I have a nice thick layer. And I do wind up applying 2 layers to some spots that I felt were a little too thin. So I let it dry a bit and then I added a bit more. But you can see that this is a fairly quick process. All right, time for the big reveal. Look at this. How fun is that? I love this. I liked using the paint as opposed to ink because it was thick and it was pretty opaque, not completely, but enough where you can see that there's sort of water happening around and on top of, although technically the orange is on top of the water, but it looks like there's water kind of gliding over these fish. So we need to make them stand out a bit more because right now they're see-through fish. So I grabbed a white Posca pen. Again, everything is listed in the description box below. Shook it up really well. And now I'm just going to apply that white to the interior areas of all of these fish. And it's really not a long process because you don't have to worry about shading. You don't have to worry about multicolors. I'm just using white. I didn't really think that I needed to do anything more than that for the inside of the bodies. If you want to go crazy and add more, have a good time, enjoy. But for this, I really didn't think that it was necessary. And as the white dries, it does show up more. So right now it looks kind of like I didn't do anything. But as it dries, you'll see that it becomes more opaque and brighter. So have you worked with Posca pens before on your card making projects? I'm curious. I'd love to know in the comments. Let me know if you have. I love Poscas. So now I've got a black. It's the same size nib as the white one that I've got there. I think it's a 2.3 millimeter. It'll be listed. And I'm using that for the eyes. Just, again, to make them pop. I didn't want them to have orange eyes. And off camera, I did add a dot to make them have like a white kind of highlight, but it made it look too cartoony and I wasn't a fan. So I went back and added the black again and I was much happier with that. Take a look at this panel. I love this. Those fish look happy, don't they? There's a little bit of excess paint and I'm just chopping that off with my uniquely creative scissors and I'm loving that. All right, this card doesn't need much more, you guys. It just needs a sentiment and a card base. So I've got my binder here. If you are familiar with Amy's Wares, she's a really good friend of mine, and I got this idea from her to keep a binder of sentiments and colored images and keeps everything organized. I batch out some sentiments from time to time, and then I've got them ready to go so that I don't have to spend more time doing it when I'm actually in the process of making a project. I've got this Just a Note. It's from Pinkfresh Studios, Perfect Sentiment Stamp and Die. It's a singular stamp and then a singular die. It cuts them all out at once. It's pretty cool. Little tricky to find, but I think that more and more companies are coming out with things similar to this. So I've got Mermaid Lagoon again, and I'm just adding some of that color to my card base because if you watch my channel, you know that I don't really like to leave my card bases white too often. I do it sometimes, and it's always a shocker, but I prefer to have some color, have it match that top layer of my card panel. And look at how nice that looks. We're going to just add a little glue to this. I've got my Barely Arts glue there. We're going to apply it to the panel. Got a little bit extra paint hanging out off the top there. You can ignore that inking on the background. My stencil at the beginning wasn't cleaned as well as I thought it was. So when I started to add the blue, I got some purple happening. So I cleaned off my stencil, restarted the video, and that's what that's doing there. But it doesn't affect our finished card at all. No one will know it's there except for you and me. All right, so we're just applying this to our card base, and then we're going to add our little sentiment. That was stamped with VersaFine Clair ink. I forget what color. It might be, it's not Warm Breeze. You know, it might not be Clair. I don't know, it's super turquoisey. I'm going to have to check my inks, but it'll be listed in the description box as I mentioned several times already. That's it for the card today. Super fun. I hope you love this water technique. I am crazy about it. I think it's really cool. And if you have some Poscas, break them out and use them on your cards. I think that you'll enjoy using them. Mixed media is so much fun, and you know, Poscas are perfect for that. I appreciate you being here. I will be back very soon with another video. I hope you have a fantastic day. Be well, stay safe, peace out.